into the bed that I share with the beautiful Yvonne, and I ground myself into the mattress until I was thoroughly spent.
She's a lucky woman. Wow.
But I have no pride in this, Nathaniel. I want you to know that.
Yeah, and so I'm the one that's supposed to be the deviant. And here you are grinding your own cock into your woman's bed linen. My God. Are you over it now? You're not doing it again, are you?
You need to talk, Nathaniel. You need to talk.
Okay. Well, I'll just talk about the film a little bit more. It's not going to be positive. So if anybody's a fan of Cowboys and Aliens out there, you're not going to enjoy what I'm about to say. But I noticed on the credits that Mr. Spielberg, I believe he was the executive producer. And then another annoying fact that he had to just squeeze into this movie was the saccharine-like sentimentality of the human hostages being returned to their wives and husbands. I mean, just fetch the bucket, will you? It's repetitive and it's boring and it's nonsense.
That made you feel ill?
I wouldn't go as strong as that. I wasn't exactly wanted to vomit at witnessing, but I didn't approve of those scenes. It's all very same old, you know. We've heard this a million times.
Steven Spielberg is making something of a habit over the last 5 or 6 years of involving himself with pretty poor projects. There's no getting around it. On TV, we've got the rather lacklustre Falling Skies, and of course, he takes an executive producer role on the abysmal Transformer movies. So, surely that man's got no bills to pay.
It does make you wonder what his motivation is, doesn't it?
Why is he doing it?
Absolutely no idea.
Why is he doing it?
I reckon he was kind of beaten up as a kid or something. He just liked seeing his name on the credits.
Oh yeah, it doesn't quite seem right, does it? Because he's sullying his reputation.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's an experienced enough guy to know that what makes a good film, what makes an awful one. So why he wants his name in association with these kinds of movies is anyone's guess. It's.
Now I've got to say, I thought the overriding message of the movie was pretty poor.
Was there a message?
Well, I thought so. The message to me seemed to be, when superior forces invade, fight back, and you just might win. And that's totally unrealistic. Just look at the Libyans.
Strange that you should see Cowboys and Aliens in the same frame as the Libyan Civil War.
Well, it can't be a coincidence that it was on at the cinema at the same time as that conflict was going on.
No, it can't be. No, you're absolutely right. No, it can't.
It can't be a coincidence.
That
was pre-planned.
Yeah, I think Gaddafi had a say in it, actually.
I'd like to ask this as well. Where were the British Army? Would have shown them.
It was filmed in the United States, Richard.
And your point being?
Why would the British Army want to get involved with the United States?
Because the British Army would have been able to show the kind of forthright attitude, the kind of outright force, stiff upper lippedness that would have seen off those aliens, and no mistake.
I think the American Army have enough force behind them to deal with their own problems.
You think so?
Well, I know so. So that's a strange point of view to take, Richard.
Also, this was meant to be set in America, was it not?
It was.
And yet, the movie was all set in the desert.
It was.
But there is no desert in the United States, so they should check their facts.
So you think it was actually filmed in Egypt or Botswana or something?
Exactly. So some African country or other. There is no desert in America.
Perhaps you're right. I didn't see any Africans running around the set. But you could be right. Perhaps I was just completely wrong. Perhaps I got the geography totally wrong.
How did you find the realisation of the aliens?
Not impressed. as with the rest of the movie, Richard. No, I thought it was, when you're spending that much on a movie like this, you can at least get the aesthetics right. And no, I thought the aliens looked more like large, awkward insects. Which I suppose an alien, there's no real reason why an alien can't look like an insect, but it just wasn't alien enough for me.
No, I found them very amateurish, to be honest with you. The kind of thing that I'd expect to see in a student movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. Yeah. They look like the kind of thing, if I saw it scuttling across my kitchen floor, I'd stamp on it with a well-heeled boot.
Yeah, I can empathise with that sentiment, Richard, yeah.
They're very poor.
I think we feel the same way on that one.
So, without any sense of optimism, Nathaniel, what's your rating?
I'd give this film 2 out of 10.
Oh. You see, the funny thing is, I am meant to be the bad guy in this relationship, and yet consistently, you're delivering the lowest marks.
Again, another interesting correlation from the words of Shittlebob. Giving a film low marks makes me a bad guy. Okay.
I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. Okay, folks, this is the part of the show where we delve into the movie archives, and this time we're going all the way back to 1960. Me and Nathaniel have watched Spartacus, Stanley Kubrick's epic. Brief overview. Spartacus, born and raised a slave, is trained as a gladiator. After weeks of being trained to prepare for the arena, Spartacus leads a band of rebels against his Roman owners and escapes the garrison. Under the leadership of Spartacus, the ranks of rebels and the underclasses really begin to revolt. As a result, 2 high-powered figures in Rome set about in political shenanigans, and only the defeat of Spartacus will allow them, either one of them, to become victorious. Spartacus and his followers, however, press on towards freedom. What do we think of it, Nathaniel?
Well, perhaps somewhat surprisingly, Richard, I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't hate it. I certainly didn't love it. But it is the sort of film that I should love. By virtue of the fact that it does date back to 1960, automatically means that the film will be pure story driven, no special effects.
Yeah.
And it was a good storyline, kind of the animal-like slave rising to the dignified revolutionary. But the truth is, I found the film to be a parody of itself, really. It tried too hard to be majestic. All very grand, but frankly up its own anus. I did enjoy the scene, I think it's quite a famous scene, in the pool, where the Emperor Crassus, the cruel Roman Emperor, he seems to be strangely attracted to his boyish manservant, Antoninus. And I thought that was quite a momentous thing to see, that kind of suggestion being made in 1960, quite powerful. But no, the truth is, Rich, I'd rather Spartacus been bludgeoned by something heavy and saved us from the flares of pomp that I thought it was. There was much to admire, but the attire, the togas and the sandals, they were very, very nice to witness. And I enjoyed the fight scenes. They were well choreographed, probably as good as what we'd see today. But all in all, up its own anus, not a great watch.
It's fairly typical, isn't it, that you've honed in on one of the most repulsive scenes in the entire movie. Mm-hmm. The bath scene, the Roman bath scene.
Yeah.
That was absolutely vile, Nathaniel.
You didn't even...
Totally out of place. Totally out of place. There's no purpose to that other than to shock.
It was hardly shocking, Richard. I mean, it's not as if you...
It shocked me.
They were hardly having anal intercourse, were they? There was the odd bit of prolonged eye contact, maybe a gentle caress, but you're not seeing them banging each other up the arse, are you?
Well, frankly, Nathaniel, you are better than this. This
thank you.
coarse language that you've suddenly devolved into.
Course?
You're but banging them up the anus.
That's so coarse, is it?
It's just ludicrous for a professional broadcaster to be using such language.
You're not working for
What have you turned into? What have you become?
Stop policing my speech, Shittlebob. What did you think of the film?
I mean, clearly that scene was out of place, unnecessary, and I think that absolutely no purpose for it. I'm an open-minded kind of guy, but there's no call for that.
You're spending an awful lot of time talking about this scene. It's only a few minutes long in a 3-hour-long film. You're quite transfixed by it, aren't you?
I'm an open-minded individual, Nathaniel, but I want to get onto one of the main points. I'm really, really annoyed that you made me watch a 3-hour film.
I apologise. Can't your attention manage that much?
This week, it just so happens that a new black family has moved into my street. So frankly, I've got better things to do with my time.
Such as?
I've suddenly taken a keen interest in the neighbourhood watch.
Why, are they particularly attractive family?
All I'm saying is, it won't surprise me if things start to go missing.
Once again, Shittlebob swipes away another 1,000 listeners with his racist, vile utterances. Back to the film, I think.
Spartacus is a racist.
And you came to this view because of?
Spartacus hates Italians.
Well, you hate Italians.
That's besides the point.
I guess you're a racist, so it figures, yeah.
Spartacus's rebels could never win this battle.
I guess you're right. It's pretty unrealistic, wasn't it?
It's like the French army taking on the Welsh army. The French wouldn't stand a chance.
No, they wouldn't, would they? The Welsh army with all their harmonious singing and lava bread.
Now who's the racist, Nathaniel?
You!
You casting your blanket stereotype.
You're the
I never mentioned harmonious singing. I never mentioned lava bread. I was bigging up the Welsh.
I didn't realise it was a racist. I got a racist label from mentioning lava bread. Interesting connection.
The mental picture of Welsh men wandering around the valleys, singing in close harmony, stuffing their faces with lava bread.
That's the only army that they can muster, isn't it? That's the only army they'd be able to take anywhere. Is, gangs full of bearded large men singing and throwing